From Carol Henshaw, please. Let's have your question. Carol Henshaw.
Is it fair that on 2 occasions planning permission to frack this area was not approved by the council and the government overruled us?
Well, you can see it's a popular question, and it's a very pertinent one here. I mean, on the way into Blackpool, there are great signs on the roads protesting against fracking, and it's a sort of case test, really, of whether the whole industry of fracking should get the go-ahead. It's not, doesn't get the go-ahead elsewhere. Should it get the go-ahead here? And is it fair? Michelle Dewberry, what do you make of local people saying we don't want it and being overruled?
I think fracking, for whatever reason, it is an industry that has completely failed to win over people and to convince people of their arguments. I think people are concerned about safety. People don't want, whether it's earthquakes and big firms denying all knowledge and then admitting down the line maybe it is. I think there's a real safety concern, and until those safety concerns are properly addressed and people understand what's going on, until that point is reached, we've got a problem. And I don't understand what it's going to take, because it hasn't yet happened that that industry has managed to get people bought into what they're doing and the benefits of it and address their real safety concerns.
So you think, do you think its time will come when it's being handled more dexterously, or do you think there are real dangers and risks in it, like local people here have
I think
opined?
It's something that is still not understood enough to the degree where we can make a proper informed decision about it. And I don't quite understand why. It's a very unpopular industry, and I understand people's concerns here. If it was on my back garden, I'd have concerns about it as well. But I just think that the industry needs to work closely with government regulations and residents to properly communicate what it's doing and to reassure those safety concerns if it wants to get the go-ahead.
Nigel Farage, do you think it's right of government to overrule local opinion on this?
It's right of government to have concerns, and Michelle's point about a very effective lobby against fracking, and they've been very good at it. They've been very good at putting the fear of God into people. Look, no form of extractive industry doesn't bring some degree of risk with it, whether it's coal mining, whatever it may be. We've been fracking since the 1950s. America's done more of it than we've done. Even we've done a bit of fracking, you know, in this country. What you have in this part of England is the most phenomenal reserve of natural gas, exploited carefully and sensibly. It would not leave great scars on the landscape like coal mining did in many areas, and it would revolutionise the economy of the northwest of England by providing tens of thousands of well-paid jobs. We must be mad to look a gift horse in the mouth. Mad.
Nigel, for me...
So why is it so unpopular?
It's unpopular because people don't like things in their backyard, obviously, and because the campaign's been effective against it.
OK,
but it works.
There's an interesting parallel between the will of the people vote. The will of the people was kicked out in one and not in the other. Mr Farage threw away £39 billion as a one-off throwaway line. How many council houses can you buy for £39 billion?
If people here don't want it, that's fine. And they have a referendum on it, they can decide. That's fine. No, all I'm saying is, well, why not? Well, that shows you how we can modernise our democracy at local level too, doesn't it?
Ken Clark.
Well, astonishing events taken place.
You're going to agree.
I entirely agree with Nigel Farage.
Don't make it a habit.
Nigel, the first time I think ever, we were in total agreement, and you got loudly booed by the audience for giving the answer, and so my boos are a little more restrained. I joined
so why are you in favour?
Well, because we have had decades of fracking, and all this campaigning about all the dreadful things that are supposed to happen. Your water will be poisoned, you'll have earthquakes and all the rest of it.
They did have earthquakes.
The tremor in Blackpool was not detectable by a human being on the surface. It was a very low-level tremor. It's described, as an earthquake by the campaigners, but it wasn't.
Did any of you... All right, let's just ask. Did any of you feel the tremors when... Put your hands up if you did.
Well, the National Geological Survey was very surprised by your sensitivity.
These are very sensitive
by
people.
your sensitivity.
The person with the coloured sleeve up there at the back, yes, you. Yes?
There's a lot of people peddling mistruths and misinformation, and Nigel is a perfect example of how he obviously hasn't read up, he doesn't know the facts, and I'm absolutely amazed that Kevin Clark doesn't either. I would have really liked to have thought that you could have stopped and read your facts about fracking coming to this area.
So why are you against fracking?
Well, my main reason is a bit different from the other locals, because I disagree with fracking because it's burning a fossil fuel. And I'm so against that. With the environment issues that are pertinent at the moment, what are we thinking of? Digging up more fossil fuels. But as well as that, it's the local people. And the question which was asked and which you haven't really answered is, what about the government overturning the will of the local people?
Well, there are many things where, of course, we have a good local planning system, but in big things of national importance, the government must have a role, particularly nowadays. If Isambard Kingdom Brunel decided he wanted to build a railway line from London to Bristol today, his advisers would tell him he'd be mad going through the planning system, because there'd be vast opposition all the way down the line, everybody would be opposed to it. The government had to let him do that.
It's called HS2.
Yeah. It's called HS2 because they get fought by local people, but somebody somewhere has got to provide the route for major infrastructure projects. We do need runways at airports. We do need to use our own oil and gas reserves.
What account do you take of local opinion? Anything or none?
You take account of local opinion.
And then ignore it.
But you don't ignore it, but if in fact the national interest outweighs that, and if the local opinion is just rejecting the advice of, I already mentioned, the National Geological Survey, the scientific world, about whether there are risks involved in fracking or not, I think a government's entitled to say in the national interest we're going ahead.
I could not be more opposed to Ken and Nigel, and thank you very much at the back for raising that point about the lack of fossil fuels. I mean, we talk about well blowouts, we talk about it's carbon intensive, we talk about that it's water intensive, but the bigger issue is that if we are serious about protecting this blue marble that we're on, we need to move away from fossil fuels and actually embrace renewable energy. In this area, there's a lot of wind. Why don't we use it?
Thank you.
Because
it's Owen's turn. Owen Smith, your turn. I'll come to you, sir. Owen Smith.
Well, look, the truth is, Nigel is completely wrong. The benefits of fracking are totally overblown. The volume of jobs will be tiny. The reserves that we have are much lesser than America or France or some of the other places where they have shale gas to frack. And in some of those places, like France, they've decided not to go after it. Why did we have the Tories overruling local people? Because they decided around the time of them getting elected in 2010 that it was a good idea for them to try and mimic the States, that they could sell to people as part of their election platform that they were going to unveil this great new industrial revolution. It was going to produce jobs and cheap, free energy practically in this country. All a load of rubbish. The other thing they've lied to people about is their suggestion that local people and local decisions will be given primacy. That clearly hasn't happened here. It should have happened, and if it had happened, we wouldn't have the fracking in Blackpool. It wouldn't happen under a Labour government.
OK. That person there, the blue shirt, yeah.
See, what was actually said before about how this is, you know, the greenhouse gas is produced by this. It doesn't matter what jobs you've got, what money you have, when we're all dead from global warming. That is definitely the main point here. And when you've got places, the German people have had to shut down nuclear power plants because they didn't like them, despite the fact that, you know, greenhouse gas-wise, it's, you know, completely
they bought coal
clean.
everywhere. New coal-fired power stations all over Germany.
And a quarter of the energy we've been using in Britain today has come from wind. So why haven't the Tories invested in wind power?
And you, sir?
I think tonight more than ever, you know, emphasise the fact of a reliance on gas. Everyone in this room is going to go home tonight and put the gas central heating on. Look, a wind turbine is not going to heat your house.
Quarter of
and
all
it was
the
a Labour Party. It was a Labour Party in 2008 that actually got the ball rolling on shale gas and issued the exploratory drilling licences.
And do you think is it going to happen here? They say it's going to happen in the spring.
And
it will happen.
Put billions of pounds into the revenue of the government. We are using tonight Russian and Qatari gas to heat our homes.
So you want to see it happen?
Yes, absolutely.
And will it be good for the local economy?
It will be good for the local economy. It will pump millions and millions of pounds in the local economy. This is not a mirror effect of the production of the shale gas in America. This is under British regulations. And British gas engineers, the best in the world. We will do it right.
OK, a brief point from you.
I wonder whether the decision would have been overturned in the same way if the fracking was taking place south of Watford.
Yeah. OK.
Sorry, Hill.
Well...